I maximize all metrics of my life. I've just come to the conclusion, based on anecdotes, based on numbers, that looks are the most important metric, and it would be insane to not prioritize them.
Most people think Clavicular won because he went viral. That explanation is simple, satisfying, and dangerously incomplete. It suggests that controversy equals success, that shock value alone builds empires, that one viral moment can create lasting power. But real acceleration in the streaming world, it doesn't happen like that.
Today at 19, he's garnered a massive audience online, where he says that everything in life is determined by one thing.
It happens through systematic escalation, through calculated risk, through understanding exactly where the line is and then dancing on it until the entire world is watching. Going viral didn't make Clavicular powerful. It revealed how fast you can accumulate leverage when you're willing to risk everything. And when I say risk, I'm not talking about risking your reputation or your brand deals. I'm talking about something far more extreme, something most creators would never consider. I'm talking about risking your body, your freedom, your life.
Injecting testosterone at just 14 years old, claiming that natural puberty wasn't optimized for the modern world.
The kind of risk that turns attention into obsession. The kind that makes people unable to look away even when they're horrified by what they're seeing. Now, to understand that, you have to go back to before the Cybertruck, before the arrests, before the headlines. You have to go back to 2024. Back to Sacred Heart University in Connecticut. Back to a 19-year-old freshman named Braden Peters who got expelled 3 weeks into his first semester. Not for partying, not for grades, for hiding testosterone in his dorm room. Because even then, even before streaming, he was already willing to break rules that most people wouldn't break. Already willing to inject hormones into his body at 14 years old. Already committed to a singular obsession that would define everything that came after. And that obsession had a name: looksmaxing. This is the relentless pursuit of physical perfection through any means necessary, legal or illegal. Safe or dangerous, socially acceptable or absolutely not. And Braden, who would soon become Clavicular, named after the clavicle bone whose width obsesses the looksmaxing community, didn't just participate in this world, he weaponized it. October 2021, Clavicular starts posting on TikTok. Dance videos at first, trending audio, nothing exceptional. But by 2025, something changed. He discovered his angle, his message, his method. He started teaching young men how to ascend. Looksmaxing terminology for transforming yourself from average to attractive. And his teachings weren't suggestions. They were extreme, dangerous, sometimes illegal. He advocated bone smashing, hitting your facial bones with hammers so they'd grow back stronger. Completely pseudo-scientific. Potentially harmful, absolutely captivating to watch. He admitted to using crystal meth to suppress appetite and stay lean, to injecting steroids for years until his body stopped producing testosterone naturally, until he became infertile at 19. He shared this openly, proudly, like battle scars in a war most people didn't know existed. And young men ate it up, because Clavicular wasn't selling them a dream. He was showing them the price. And he'd already paid it. That authenticity, that willingness to sacrifice everything for the transformation, created trust, created following, created leverage. So by late 2025, Clavicular had built something valuable, an audience that believed in extreme action, that didn't want moderation or balance or sensible advice, that wanted someone who would go further than anyone else, who would do what others wouldn't, who would say what others couldn't. And once you have that audience, once you have people who trust you to be extreme, well, the only direction is more extreme, more controversial, more dangerous. That's not a choice. That's the contract. That's what the audience paid for. September 2025, Clavicular launches Clavicular's Clan, a $50 monthly course teaching his looksmaxing methods, guides on ascending, recommendations on which peptides to inject, which steroids to use, which procedures to undergo. Critics called it a grift, a scam, predatory, but it worked because people weren't buying information, they were buying permission permission to be extreme, permission to take risks, permission to transform by any means necessary. And by February 2026, he's making over $100,000 per month from kick streams alone. Add the course subscribers, add donations, add in everything else, and this 20-year-old is generating life-changing money from teaching teenage boys how to inject themselves with hormones. But money without controversy is just business. Clavicular needed more than business. He needed attention. He needed spectacle. He needed moments that couldn't be ignored. December 18th, 2025, Miami, IRL stream. Police surround Clavicular and his crew in a public park, guns drawn. Put your hands up, get down on the ground. The whole thing streamed live. Thousands watching in real time as officers detain him for 45 minutes. Background checks, questioning, investigation, then release. No charges, no arrests, just spectacle. Just content. Just proof that he could create drama anywhere. The pattern was forming. Confrontations with strangers, altercations at clubs, verbal fights, physical threats. Every stream pushed boundaries. Every broadcast created moments that would clip and spread and generate millions of impressions. Clavicular wasn't just streaming. He was creating a reality show where the reality was genuinely dangerous, where consequences were real, where anything could happen. That uncertainty, well, that created addiction, created compulsion, created an audience that had to watch live because if they looked away, they might miss something catastrophic. December 24th, 2025, Christmas Eve, Miami again. The stream that changed everything. Clavicular is leaving an event, driving his Tesla Cybertruck. A man, identified as a repeat stream sniper who'd harassed multiple creators, jumps onto the hood, climbs onto the windshield. Someone off camera yells, "Just drive," and Clavicular accelerates. The man falls. The Cybertruck appears to run him over. A scream from the back seat. "Oh my God!" Clavicular's voice, eerily calm. "Is he dead?" The passenger, "I don't know." Clavicular's response, "Hopefully." The clip goes nuclear. Not viral, nuclear. Within hours, it's everywhere. Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, TikTok, you name it. News outlets, international headlines, mainstream media, everyone is covering it. Everyone debating it. Self-defense or attempted murder? Justified or reckless? Hero or monster? Now the discourse splits immediately, violently. Half the internet defending him. Oh, the stream sniper was a stalker, had harassed him before, had thrown red liquid on him earlier, jumped on his vehicle. What was Clavicular supposed to do? Florida's stand your ground law, self-defense, clear case. The other half, horrified, disgusted, outraged. He accelerated. He asked if the person was dead and responded hopefully. That's not self-defense, that's malice, that's sociopathic, that's criminal. And caught live on stream. Broadcasted to thousands, preserved forever. Police arrive on scene, question Clavicular, talk to witnesses, examine the Cybertruck, and then nothing. No arrest, no charges, released. Florida law, self-defense, case closed, legally. But platform-wise, Kick bans him, not permanently, temporarily. The footage was too extreme, too violent, too much liability. The ban lasts days, maybe a week, and when he returns, he's bigger than ever. The controversy didn't destroy him, it elevated him. Everyone knows his name now, everyone has an opinion, everyone wants to see what happens next. The stream where he gets unbanned, he plays All I Do Is Win, celebrates, no charges, let's go. The audience floods the chat, victory, vindication, validation. Now this is where most analysis would stop. Would say, he got lucky. He avoided consequences. He won't maintain this. But that misses what actually happened. Because the Cybertruck incident wasn't a mistake. It was deployment. Deployment of the infrastructure Clavicular had been building. The audience that trusted him to be extreme. The reputation for going further than others. The willingness to risk everything for content. Well, that infrastructure didn't create the moment, it prepared him to survive the moment, to weaponize it, to convert controversy into leverage. January 2026. The momentum doesn't slow. Clavicular appears in a video at Vendome nightclub in Miami Beach. He's with Nick Fuentes, Sneeko, the Tate brothers, Andrew and Tristan, Justin Waller, Myron Gaines. They're singing, dancing to what song? Kanye West's Heil Hitler, an anti-Semitic track from 2025. The clip circulates, goes viral. Miami Beach Mayor Stephen Miner condemns it publicly. Major Miami nightclub owners, David Grudman and David Einhorn, ban the entire group from their venues. Mainstream backlash, mainstream condemnation, mainstream attention. Clavicular's response? Calls it just a song. Says it's funny that they have enough status and influence to get it played. Later meets with the club owners. Tells them he's not trying to do politics anymore. But the damage is done, or rather the attention is captured. Because that's what these moments are. Attention capture devices, cultural grenades, things that force conversation, that force people to take sides, that force engagement whether you support him or hate him. December 27th, 2025. 3 days after the Cybertruck incident, Clavicular appears on Michael Knowles' show for the Daily Wire. Conservative political commentator, mainstream platform. The interview goes exactly as extreme as you'd expect. Clavicular calls Vice President J.D. Vance subhuman for his recessed side profile and for being obese. Says he'd vote for Gavin Newsom over Vance in 2028 because Newsom is a Chad who mogs Vance. Looks-maxing terminology meaning Newsom is more attractive. The clip goes viral immediately. Not in looks-maxing communities, in political communities, conservative media, mainstream discourse. More clips from the interview surface. Clavicular analysing Sydney Sweeney's facial structure, calling her malformed, with an extremely recessed upper maxilla, discussing infraorbital support and eyes of doom, using terminology that sounds medical but isn't. Pseudoscience wrapped in confidence, extreme takes delivered with absolute certainty. And people can't stop watching, can't stop sharing, can't stop debating whether this is satire or serious, whether he believes this or he's performing, whether it matters. Nick Fuentes endorses him as a total Chad. They appear together in an hours-long stream. Clavicular admits he's based his social media strategy on Fuentes' playbook. The far-right commentator's method of generating controversy, of saying things others won't, of riding the line between serious and satire until nobody can tell the difference. Now that admission matters because it reveals intent, reveals strategy, reveals that nothing about Clavicular's rise is accidental. February 2026. The escalation continues. Clavicular gets arrested in Scottsdale, Arizona, live on stream. Possession of dangerous drugs, Adderall and Anavar, an anabolic steroid. Possession of a forged instrument, a fake ID used to enter a bar. He's 20 years old, can't legally drink. Carrying steroids, arrested live during an IRL broadcast. The charges later get dropped before New York Fashion Week, because of course they do. Because somehow every legal consequence evaporates. Every arrest becomes content without conviction. Every risk gets absorbed without permanent damage. Days after the arrest, Clavicular walks in New York Fashion Week. Elena Velez's show, a designer known for using controversial internet micro-celebrities as models. The runway is looks-maxing themed. Clavicular is the star. Walks out soaking wet, white shirt, sculpted physique on display. The fashion world celebrates it. The algorithm steps onto the runway. Digital culture penetrates high fashion. Mainstream legitimacy through controversy. The Spectator calls him the star of the evening, evidence that internet extremism now dictates cultural moments. By March 2026, the numbers tell a staggering story. Over 750,000 followers on TikTok, over 225,000 followers on Kick, where he frequently tops viewer charts, over 44,000 followers on Twitch, making over $100,000 monthly from Kick alone. Course subscriptions generating additional 5 figures. Brand deals starting to emerge despite or because of the controversy. In 6 months, Braden Peters went from expelled college freshman to one of the most talked about creators on the internet. From unknown to unavoidable. But here's what makes Clavicular's story different from every other controversy-driven creator. He hasn't plateaued. The cycle hasn't broken. Every incident creates more attention. More attention creates more followers. More followers create more incidents. It's a feedback loop, a flywheel. And unlike most controversy creators who burn bright and collapse fast, Clavicular seems to understand the thermodynamics of outrage, how to keep it burning without burning out. The MOG World Order Subathon in early 2026, 30 days straight, streaming from a Miami penthouse, $100,000 in Kick KPP payments in just 5 days. The same format that worked for Kai Cenat, for Ludwig, but weaponized differently. Not through wholesomeness or community building, through chaos, through extremism, through the promise that at any moment something dangerous might happen, and people tune in, they donate, they subscribe, not despite the danger, because of it. The criticism is constant. Outlets call him disturbing, misogynistic, dangerous, a malign influence. The Guardian, Rolling Stone, The Atlantic, The New York Times, major publications writing think pieces about the looksmaxing movement and Clavicular as its most prominent figure. Every article critical, every piece concerned, every word dripping with worry about the young men following him, and every article spreading his name further, reaching audiences who would never find him organically, creating curiosity, creating traffic, creating growth. This is the paradox of platform-era controversy. Institutional condemnation functions as advertising. When the New York Times writes about you, they make you searchable. When the Guardian calls you dangerous, they make you interesting. When psychologists express concern about your influence, they validate that you have influence. The criticism creates legitimacy through attention, converts outrage into infrastructure, transforms condemnation into distribution. But beneath all the controversy, beneath all the arrests and incidents and headlines, there's a system, an actual reproducible system. Clavicular didn't stumble into this, he engineered it. Looksmaxing content established credibility with a specific audience. Young men insecure about their appearance, willing to take extreme action, looking for someone to give them permission to be extreme. The course monetized that audience directly. The IRL streams created constant content generation. The willingness to court legal risk created must-watch moments. The platform bans created martyrdom narratives. The mainstream condemnation created in-group solidarity. Every element reinforces the others. The course funds the lifestyle creates the streams create the incidents create the headlines create the curiosity creates the followers by the course. It's a machine, a content generation machine optimized for maximum attention extraction regardless of consequences. And it works, because Clavicular is willing to pay costs others won't pay. Physical costs, legal costs, reputational costs. He's making himself infertile with steroids, getting arrested on camera, creating situations where people could die, and surviving it all. This raises an uncomfortable question. Is this sustainable? Can you build lasting infrastructure on controversy this extreme? Well, history says no. History is full of creators who burned bright through shock value and collapsed into irrelevance or prison. But history is also changing. Platform economics are changing. The relationship between controversy and monetization is changing. What used to kill careers now launches them. What used to end streams now grows them. We're watching the rules rewrite in real time. By March 2026, Clavicular sits at an inflection point. He's accumulated massive attention, massive following, massive income, but he hasn't converted it into anything permanent yet. No beverage brand like Happy Dad, no massive merch operation like Full Send, no media company like Nelk, just personal brand, just monthly income, just the grind of constantly having to create more extreme moments to maintain the heat. Now, the question is whether he can make the transition, whether he can convert controversy into infrastructure, whether he can build something that lasts beyond the incidents. Or maybe that's the wrong question. Maybe the model isn't to build lasting infrastructure. Maybe it's to extract maximum value in minimum time, to understand your window is short and optimize for intensity over longevity. To accept that this type of attention has a half-life and make as much money as possible before it decays. Now maybe Clavicular understands something others don't, that in platform economics, 5 years of extreme success beats 20 years of moderate success, that you can make life-changing money in a short window if you're willing to risk everything. The next arrest could stick, the next incident could go too far, the next controversy could actually end it. Platform bans could become permanent, legal consequences could become real, the audience could decide he's jumped the shark. Any of these could happen. But they haven't yet, and every day they don't happen, the infrastructure gets stronger. The following gets larger, the income increases, and the leverage compounds. Now most people think Clavicular won because he went viral. Now you understand better. He won because he built a system that converts risk into attention and attention into money faster than consequences can catch up. He won because he identified an audience that rewards extremism and serves them extremism without apology. He won because he's willing to sacrifice things others won't sacrifice. His health, his safety, his freedom, his future fertility for present success. That's not admirable. That's not healthy. That's not sustainable. But it is undeniably working. That's the uncomfortable truth sitting in the middle of this story. We can condemn the methods, criticize the message, worry about the influence, but we can't deny the results. In 6 months, Clavicular built something most creators spend years failing to build. He accumulated leverage through systematic escalation. He converted controversy into infrastructure. He weaponized his willingness to take extreme risks into a competitive advantage nobody can replicate because nobody else is willing to pay the price. The looks-maxing movement will move on. The incidents will eventually catch up. The platform rules will tighten. The legal system will close the loopholes. The audience will age out or wise up. Something will end this eventually, but by then, Clavicular will have already extracted what he needed, already made the money, already achieved the escape velocity, already proven that in 2025 and 2026, controversy doesn't kill anymore, it crowns. And if you're willing to risk everything, your body, your freedom, your life, you can go from nobody to unavoidable in months instead of years. That's the real story. That's the blueprint. That's what actually happened here. Most people think Clavicular won because of viral moments. Well, now you know better. He won because he understood that modern platforms reward risk at a rate that outpaced consequences. And he's still running that calculation, still pushing, still escalating, still converting danger into dollars faster than anyone thought possible. That's not a success story, that's a warning. And the numbers prove it's working.